Afternoon, Badgers. One angry pagan. So, with all the shit going on and Trump stabbing Ukraine in the back and whatnot, this press briefing by UK Defence Secretary John Healey, um, I think it was really good. So he's saying that the government must rearm Britain in this new era of threat. And this is something I've been bitching about for fucking years. Fucking years. And the left is weak on this. Really weak.
However, the headlines, the wider headlines, and the decisions that we make right now over the coming weeks will not only define the outcome of the conflict in Ukraine, but the security of our world for a generation to come. And the nature of government means dealing with these challenges. But in my view, the test of leadership, of political leadership, isn't just about managing the immediate, it's also about reforming for the future. We're in a new era of threat, and that demands a new era for defence. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of everything else last week...
We'll just say, I've been learning about military stuff, but I'm not some whiz, that's not my wheelhouse. However, I do feel that defence is important enough to pay closer attention to, and I think again that the left is weak on this and is missing a trick. So I brought this up years ago, and my fellows on the left laughed at me for trying to talk about this, to bring this up on the left. I think that we need to broach this from a sensible route and not from this anti-NATO. I'm not talking about imperialism. I'm talking about defence and being able to defend our allies against totalitarian regimes, like Ukraine, for example.
The new Defence Secretary, Pete Hegseth, from the US, and I made time to discuss the aims we share on defence reform. This government, our new Labour government...
Save £70 on the vax spot.
It's really depressing that the US is taking the line it has.
It
really is.
On a mandate in one word, change. We govern on an instruction in one word, delivery. And as a new government, we're delivering for defence over these first 7 months. We've stepped up and speeded up support for Ukraine. We've increased defence spending this year by nearly £3 billion, and will set a path to spending 2.5% of GDP in the spring. We've launched a new defence industrial strategy. We've secured a deal to buy back 36,000 military homes to...
I hear that particular thing about buying back the military homes. I hear that this is being looked well upon. But again, I want to put to people, I want to talk, I want to hear, if anyone who has been in the military is watching, can you please leave a comment and let me know what you think of this? Because I can only say what I think of this from an outsider's perspective, having not been in the military, but having had, I've got family, friends of family, and friends who have been or who are in the military in one capacity or another. I'll be trying to talk to them about this myself. But I want anyone who's watching, who knows military matters, who's been in the military or is in the military, if you can endarken me on this, or enlighten me on this, let me know what you think about this. That will be fantastic. And I want to know, I want to see if I can have a chat with, say, Ollie Bowler Hatman, or Graham Hughes, Politics Social, or Reagan Elite, from Reagan Elite, I want to ask if they like a chat about this, because it's something that none of us talk about.
Improve conditions for personnel and get better value for the taxpayer. We've given the men and women of our armed forces the biggest pay increase for more than 20 years. We signed the landmark Trinity House Agreement with Germany, and we've already progressed the Armed Forces Commissioner Bill through the House of Commons to give a strong independent voice to improve service life. And we have in the MOD 2 major change programmes, both launched within the first month of government. One,
Working quickly then.
the Strategic Defence Review. Two, our Defence Reform Programme. Each is essential for the other. The Defence Review will reinforce the imperative for defence reform. Defence reform is the foundation for being able to implement the Defence Review and for discharging what is our first duty in government. Exactly a year ago, actually in February, I gave a little notice speech at the Policy Exchange on defence reform, in which I outlined, and I said then, the need to create a stronger defence centre capable of leading Britain in meeting the increasing threats we must face. And in a little noticed section of the Labour Party manifesto at the July election, we pledged specific reforms and said,
I hate to be that kind of guy, but he said Pacific. What he means is specific. Sorry.
strengthening our defences requires stronger leadership, clearer accountability, faster delivery, less waste, and better value for money. By the end of July, I'd put in place a new team, new leadership, and weekly meetings with me to drive our defence reform programme. And today I wanted to offer an update on where we've got to and where we are going in the months ahead.
See, this is the kind of thing I've been waiting for. I have been waiting for updates on this kind of stuff. Why can't we get this kind of stuff from the other departments? Like, this from John Healey is what we need from all the other fucking departments.
I have to say, one of the really special things about this job, the special things about this special job, are the deeply impressive men and women I meet every day. From the submariners coming home from weeks under sea to the Clyde, to apprentices on Derby's nuclear reactor production lines, to the NATO HQ team with people in the MOD building that last week pulled together the Ukraine Defence Contact Group meeting of 46 nations in the room at 1 week's notice. Extraordinary people doing extraordinary things within a system that very often doesn't work in the way that we need it to for an increasingly dangerous world. Work in the way that we need it to provide our armed forces with what they need to deter, to fight, and to win. First, underpinning it all is the absence of clear, consistent accountability, central to the effectiveness in any organisation. Yet I've been having too many meetings when I ask, who's leading this? Who's responsible for getting this done? And no one is able to give me a single clear answer. Second, while everyone agrees that...
See, I watched Phil's video earlier. Phil of a different bias. Phil of a different bias. I watched his video earlier about Boris Johnson sending us down the sink and him saying that Europe is weak. Now, we are weak right now because we are being inefficient with how we do things when it comes to security. We are not necessarily weak if we put our minds to it.
that defence spending needs to increase.
Europe, including Britain, has forgotten it's got very sharp claws and teeth, and we can bite and scratch back and claw back too, you fucking cunts. And we can do it nastily. We'll take your balls out. Don't fuck with badgers. Especially the Eurasian. Like, I know. The wolverine is the most ferocious badger in the world, and then you've got the honey badger of Africa. But don't fucking discount the lovely, cuddly visage of the Eurasian badger. The European/Asian badger, right? Don't fuck with us. Don't fuck with badgers.
It's not just how much you spend, but it's how well you spend it. And we're simply not securing the value for money our armed forces or our economy needs from every defence pound. We duplicate even the most central tasks. For example, we have 11 separate finance functions.
What?
2,500 people doing the same activity in different places in different ways.
Why? What? Why? And again, anyone who knows about this stuff from an insider's perspective, please leave a comment. Please. I want to know.
And third, defence is mired in process and procedure. We've added complexity where simplicity is needed. In procurement, we've got a situation where we employ 11 checkers for every one decision maker.
Wow. Now, I understand the perspective of having checkers for this. You know, I understand that. But 11 of them? Like, I like the number 11. But, like, really? Okay, now.
So no wonder it takes on average 6 years for a large programme simply to get onto contract. So today I'm here to declare that investment in defence will be matched by reform. First, we're introducing clear points of accountability at every level within UK defence. Starting at the top with 4 new senior leaders. 4 leaders who report to me as Defence Secretary and my ministerial team at the central point of accountability to the British people and to the British Parliament. The Chief of the Defence Staff, who for the first time since this role was created, now commands the service chiefs, who will be the head of a newly established military strategic headquarters responsible for force design and war planning across our integrated force.
Interesting.
The Permanent Secretary, our Principal Accounting Officer, who will run a leaner, more agile Department of State, with more policy muscle to lead arguments across Whitehall and with allies. We'll revamp the senior roles to elevate those into policymakers with broad portfolios and powerful mandates. Third, our new Armaments Director, who will fix procurement and drive growth, and I'll come back to the detail of the National Armaments Director in a moment. And fourthly, our
National Armaments Director. Okay. We can expect that to be shortened to something like NAD or something like that.
Chief of Defence Nuclear, who will continue to lead and deliver the national nuclear enterprise within the recently established ring fence and freedoms.
We're very quickly going to come away for some breaking news. Israel's foreign minister
I don't want
is
to fucking
saying
know
that
about
they
that
will
right
begin
now.
negotiations on Gaza, but of course, Minister
Go
saying
away.
they will begin negotiations on the second phase
Don't care
of the
right now.
hostage deal. More on that coming up later. But let's return now
What the fuck, Sky News?
to John Healey, the Defence Secretary.
I didn't need to know that right now. I needed to know what fucking John Healey was saying.
On finance, we'll match our new accountabilities with a department that manages money better. To secure better value for money for the taxpayer, better outcomes for the armed forces. And many recent failings I think, can be traced back to the conservative defence reforms known as the Levine reforms.
I like that. Because the Levine reforms, from what I understand, really fucking broke our military. That's what really fucked us up. So I like this. Like, pointing out to the public, this is the Tories' fucking fault, and we're fucking fixing it.
Introduced in 2012. They produced too much duplication, too much waste, a system where only 2 out of 49 major defence projects are now on time and on budget. I'm ending Levine, and instead of the 10 current top-line budget holders, there will be 4 new budget holders.
Good. 1
for each of this new quad.
Again, this sounds good to me, but for anyone who knows this stuff better than a lot better than I do, I want you to comment. I want you to let me know what you think about what is being said here. I would really value what you have to say.
We'll introduce 3 new centrally determined financial budgets, each with ministerial oversight. Readiness, operations, investment. The new readiness budget will hold the chiefs of the services to account for how they run their day-to-day spending. This will be done by the Chief of Defence Staff through our new Military Strategic Headquarters. The Military Strategic Headquarters will be responsible for the new operations budget, unencumbered by the excess bureaucracy and the lack of clarity that characterises the way that defence is organised now. And ministers will direct those priorities. And then finally, our new National Armaments Director will run the single new investment budget, bringing together 8 separate procurement budgets across the organisation into one. This will help cut waste.
8 separate procurement budgets. What the fuck?
Reduce duplication. It'll help ensure that we are buying better what our frontline forces need. And in turn, the NAD will acquire only
National
the capabilities which are affordable within the budgets set by ministers. These budgets, as with the Quad, will have initial operating capacity from the end of next month, 31st of March. And our new National Armaments Director will fundamentally change how defence works to partner with industry and how defence becomes the engine for driving economic growth. So sitting alongside the Permanent Secretary and the Chief of Defence Staff, they'll execute a £20 billion plus budget to build and sustain our national arms arsenal. Because at this time, we must rearm Britain. And I see this as a new FTSE 100 company within the MOD, tasked, if you like, with getting the very best capabilities needed into the hands of our frontline forces, delivering on our defence industrial strategy to create more defence jobs, more defence apprenticeships in every region and nation across the UK, tasked with driving British exports up and up wider, tasked with assuming responsibility for the entire end-to-end acquisition system for the MOD. They will save the taxpayer at least £10 billion over the next decade, savings that we will reinvest directly into Britain's defence. Our interim NAD will be in post by the end of next month. Recruitment for the permanent candidate is already underway. And so in conclusion, the world is changing, defence is changing. Our reform programme represents the biggest shake-up of UK defence for over 50 years. And let me say this. This is a government whose commitment to defence is unshakable. It's the foundation for our plan for change, for the delivery of our government's missions. We will match sustained investment with serious reform. It'll mean growing the economy. It'll mean a more muscular defence for a more dangerous world. It will mean Britain, which is secure at home and strong abroad. Thank you.
I guess two big parts.
Okay. I mean, that's... See, to me, that sounds good. All of what was just said sounds good. But, again, I have to reiterate, I need to hear from people who actually know about this stuff. I want to know what... If anyone watching this has experience with military, I need you guys to tell me. I really want you guys to comment down below, please. But to me, as someone who has friends and family, and friends who have been or / are in the military, I am interested in this, and I really feel that we on the left are missing a trick when we refuse to acknowledge the state of our military, and when it comes to, you know, the security deals that we want to sign with Ukraine and with Norway and whatnot. So yeah, again, like me, I'm pagan. Some pagans are pacifist. I'm not a pacifist. Hence the shield and the sword and the axe. Don't fuck with European badges. Don't fuck with us. Let me know what you guys think. My shield at your backs, guys. My sword at your service. Blessed be. And God weird.